Brooklyn, new. Click the edit, raise me with a siren, sing lullabies. Through conversations taught me truth before the books got wise. Corner store confessions, dollar chips and broken dreams. With a block could turn a halo to a hustle overnight, it seems. I seen prayers scribbled on the back of late notices. Mama's faith iron hope into my jeans like it was sewn in this. Cold winters, high tempers, short fuses, long nights. I learned early God don't flinch when the odds bite. I was walking with a pavement, knew my government. Cracks in the sidewalk matching cracks in my confidence. They said the city don't love you, it uses you. But God met me in the grime and said I still choose you. I speak fluent survival, my tongue got a borough accent. Every bar carry weight like the cross when it's balanced. I don't rap to escape, I rap to document how grace pulled me out the chokehold, consequences sin. See, I was dancing with wolves, but heaven kept watch. Angels double parked outside the trap spot when my name was one bad choice. From a mugshot frame, he rerouted my steps, then reroute my pain. That's Brooklyn theology, learned it in hallways where the elevator smelled like regretted no bouquets. I watched queens turn losses into legacies and kings fold under pressure, chasing temporary thrones impressively. I rhyme with intention, every sentence got breath. I ain't chasing applause, I survived being left when silence was loud and the nights talk back. God whispered purpose when my post lost track. I studied the grace, lessons hidden in rhythm, where the truth hit harder than the kick in the snare system. Precision in thought, elevation in speech. If I say it, I mean it, I don't reach. From mossy echoes to thoughts, mental gym. I learned intellect, move crowds quicker than rims. And Big taught me vision, paint scenes with your voice. So when I speak of redemption, you can hear the choice. I changed lanes mid-sentence, no signal, no pause. Faith gave me range, not just punchlines and flaws. One breath I'm effective, next breath I'm sharp. Scripture in the marrow, city in the heart. I was baptized by fire, escapes and stairwells. Learned heaven got Wi-Fi in the deepest hells. When my prayers bounced back like checks insufficient, God covered defeat, called it divine assistance. I done seen hunger teach patience better than sermons. Empty fridge, full face, that's a Brooklyn discernment. We didn't have much, but we had belief, and God stretched meals the same way He stretched me. Now I walk with authority, not arrogance though. Confidence clean when you know where you grow. I don't erase the scars, I reference them. Testimony heavy like the borough's rent. I speak for the girls who had to grow up fast, who learned strength early, cause softness didn't last. God didn't make me hard, He made me solid. There's a difference when your spirit ain't rotted. I don't flex for the cameras, I move with intent. Every step sanctified, every word heaven sent. If I'm here, it's purpose. If I'm loud, it's praise. If I pause, it's respect for the process and the days. I seen fake gods fall with a chain snap sound. Seen real faith lift folks when they face planted ground. I don't sell miracles, I live proof. From cracked concrete roots to unshakable truth. So when I rap, it's scripture stitched in street slang. A Brooklyn song with a boom bap bang. God didn't just save me, He sharpened my sight, turned my struggle into structure, my wrongs into right. I stand here clean, no halo cosplay. Just a woman from the borough who found a way. And every bar testify, every verse confess that grace got hands and it knows my address.
I'm sure you've heard the news. Life is short. But there's a way to make every moment matter. Each day we wake up is a gift, a chance to embrace faith, family, and friends. Have you accepted Christ as your Lord and Savior? If not, what are you waiting for? He's there, offering love, hope, and a purpose. Spending time with those you love is just as important. Cherish every laugh, every hug, every shared meal. Because these moments, they fly by. And once they're gone, we can't get them back. So why waste another second? Accept Christ, embrace your loved ones, and live each day with intention. After all, we're here for a short time. Let's make it count. Amen.
Thank you guys for being here. You could have been any place on the planet, but you chose to be here today, and I am so thankful. Today we have a special show for you guys tonight. You know, we have two special guests that, you know, they mean a lot to me. So I'm going to introduce them separately and bring them up, and then the floors are going to be there. So it is truly an honor to introduce two incredible individuals who are not only beautiful in presence, but even more so in character. First is my auntie, TJ Randolph, a woman who embodies grace, strength, and warmth. She carries herself with dignity, and her beauty radiates from the inside out. The kind of woman whose spirit speaks before she ever says a word. Her wisdom, her patience, and her genuine heart are felt by everyone blessed enough to know her. Introducing everybody, Miss TJ Randolph.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You can't hear me? I can hear you. Can you hear me? Wow. Yes, I can hear you.
Hello? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you, but you can't hear me? So you know what you can do? I will put you down. Come back up. So I'm gonna put you down. Hopefully she can hear. I wrote this in the thing. Hopefully she can hear me. She said I can't hear. I'm gonna put you down. Come back up. Come. Okay, I'm gonna put her down. Hopefully she comes back up. All right. So the next brother that we got, and I'm gonna have to reintroduce her. So the next person I have is Mr. DUSTO Scam Likely, a solid stand-up brother, dependable, respectable, the kind of man who shows up, stays consistent, and handles his business with integrity. In a world where character can sometimes feel rare, he stands firm. So here's my brother, Mr. Scam Likely. What is going on, my G?
Good evening, Bolo. Good evening, Bolo. And good evening, TJ.
Good evening. Can you hear me, TJ?
And, can you hear
I
us?
can hear you now, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to reintroduce you and after you finish with my man. So you know what? I might as well reintroduce you. First, we're gonna act like we didn't see that she's up here. So first, Auntie TJ Randolph, a woman who embodies grace, strength, and warmth. She carries herself with dignity, and her beauty radiates from the inside out. The kind of woman whose spirit speaks before she ever says a word. Her wisdom, her patience, and her genuine heart are felt by everyone blessed enough to know her. Thank you for blessing us today. And we want to sincerely thank you both for your time, your patience, and your willingness to be here and share this information with us. That doesn't go unnoticed. It's appreciated more than words could fully express. May God continue to bless you both, strengthen you, and pour back into you for everything that you give. So let's show some appreciation for these two wonderful beings for coming here.
Thank you.
I'm going to mute up and shut up and let you guys run it. Dusto, floor is yours, my G.
Good evening, everyone. Today's topic, and I'm honored to somebody I haven't seen in a while, but somebody I actually met in person and was kind of friendly. Just kind of friendly. She was actually mean, but I ain't gonna tell them. No, I actually met TJ Randolph in person in 2022, maybe.
I think so.
2022 in Houston, and she was cool. So when I tell y'all I'm ugly, she can actually vouch for it. Yeah, I'm ugly on the weekends. But today's topic, military. Some of this will be opinionated, but a lot of it will be facts, information, and we'll also answer some questions to the best of our ability. Let's be real, the world changes every day. Things change every day. Your life changes every day. So everything that we say isn't always just set in stone and it's fixed, but we're here to provide the best information from our view, from our experience, and from our intelligence. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My birth name is Scam Likely. I was in high school and I played around. My GPA was not what it was supposed to be. Brother was in college. My sister was in college. They took both the cars. They took the couch. And every time they came home, they go in the pantry eating up all the food. I'm the youngest. So I'm like, how am I going to go to college with this weak GPA? And I ain't got no money. So I had to be working 3 jobs. My parents make too much money for financial aid, for the grants and all that. What I'm going to do? Friends across the street, they were military or prior military. And a friend who was a year younger than me already had his plans. I'm going to reserves, going to do this military stuff. So not till 12th grade, it's like, I got to do something. Looked at Army Reserves, Marine Reserves, and they're like, yeah, you go to basic for 8 weeks, or Marines was 13 weeks. Then we train you, you can pick a job, but you're going to have to go 1 weekend a month for the next 6 years, and you're going to have to miss a year of college. The Army had a brochure where you can go to school for 2 years, and I missed 2 years of college, but I'll be active duty, which means I'm full out Army. I get all those benefits. And that's what I ended up doing. I was 18 when I went in. I was 20 when I got out. Went to college, spent up all the money. And I promote people to go in, not everybody, but I'm one who does promote for people to go in the military for certain reasons, certain people. And we'll discuss some of the benefits and some of our experiences. But I'll just leave it there for now. Ms. Randolph, you'd like to share your experience?
Yes. Okay. So very similar to yours. Okay, so I graduated from high school in 85 and my grades were okay. But, you know, and they were okay for me to go to a smaller 4-year college. But to be honest, I was kind of burnt out. So that summer, after that first year, I had this summer job and I actually worked for the Army Recruiting Battalion doing like administrative work.
Mhm.
And where it was housed where all the services were, but I worked for the Army Recruiting Battalion. So I was thinking about, I knew I wasn't ready for active duty, but I wanted to get some money for college and I was just kind of burnt out of school. So one of the things I enjoyed is that the recruiter said, before I make my decision, they encouraged me to check all the branches. So I went to talk to all the branches. I knew that I wasn't down for the Marine Corps. I just wasn't that, I wasn't that girl. But I thought I was a little bit tougher than the Air Force and the Navy at the time. So I decided to go into the Army Reserve and I went in because they had the student loan repayment. They had the, reserve GI Bill, which is not the same as the active duty GI Bill. I forget the number. But it wasn't the same. But they had the student loan repayment, and I had student loans at that time. So I went in at I think I enlisted in '86, and went to my basic training and AIT, and I was 19, and that was the first time I'd ever been away from home. And it was so interesting because when I came home after basic training, before I went to my AIT, my mother said that she immediately noticed a difference in me. So that was the beginning. I was in the reserves for 12 years as an enlisted. And then, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. But then when I was in the reserves, I ultimately got pregnant and had my daughter. And at that point, I went back to school. I applied for law school and I didn't get into law school. So I said, well, let me see if I can get into graduate school. And I went through ROTC as a graduate student in 98. Well, started in 96 as a single mother, working 2 jobs and had a toddler. And I got my commission and went on to active duty. Initially, I was just going to be a reserve officer because I was already in the reserve. So I was just going to be a reserve officer. But I said that I felt like I owed it to myself to at least see what, active duty was like. And because I was, my daughter's father and I were not in a good place, I needed to make sure I could provide for my daughter. So I said, well, I can do 3 years because it was a 3-year term of service. So I said, I could do 3 years. And after 3 years, I'll go back in reserves. Well, 3 years turned out being 9. So there you go. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Question. Somebody out there got a 17-year-old and they don't know what they want to do. Mm-hmm. They want to play video games or they kind of want to go to college. And I think I want to kind of sort of, and they're about to turn 18. Would you recommend them, or what would you be or just leave it open? What would be your recommendation for that parent to tell that child?
I would recommend them to explore all the branches like I did, I would definitely encourage them to consider the military if they're wandering aimlessly. You know, understandably, everybody's not going to make the military a career. And, you know, and given this climate, you know, they may say, okay, should I go into it all? Well, I went for my own selfish reasons. You know, I went into it for my reasons, and it turned out to be one of the best decisions I made. And as a matter of fact, I'm getting out. When I was in basic training, my mother wrote me a letter in basic training and said that she thought my decision to go into the military, even though it was reserves, was one of the best things I could have done for myself as a young adult. Like I said, that was the first time I'd ever been away from home. I couldn't run at all, couldn't do no push-ups. And it was, you know, it instilled a sense of discipline and pride in me and focus, because interestingly enough, that first year that I said I went to college after graduating from high school, my grades were But when I went back to college after my basic training, AIT, A's and B's.
Work
A's
ethic.
and B's.
Work ethic.
Yes.
Focus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I would say that, you know, but you know, I understand young people now are very different. But I still believe, even if you go for just one enlistment, it will open your eyes to something that you wouldn't think possible. Because some people had never even left home, like me. You know, I met different people. You know, I went to different parts of the country, even though I hadn't left the country. But it was something that helped me grow up. I definitely would. And I got some skill sets on top of it. So, you know, it's a win-win.
Yeah, my suggestion, person 16, 17, or however old, or playing around in college, because I'm going to be real. When I went in, most of the people were 17 and 18, or a form of 18, at least 50% in my basic training class. There were a few that were 19, maybe 20, 25%, either graduated late or went to college for a semester or so, played around and said, nah, this ain't it. A few 20, very few 20, but most people were young. There wasn't a whole bunch of 33-year-olds going to basic, at least not in 98 when I went. But the most common thing, some people wanted a cash bonus. They saw the money, said green light. A lot of them came from bad situations. And this is all races. African Americans make up, I think it's 12% in the world, or in the country. Military is about 18, 19%. Hispanic is high also, probably 25, 30, higher than what they rank in America. Some of it's economics, and a lot of it is white and other. And then we even had a lot of immigrants who came to get visas, some of those too.
Right.
But people who wanted a better situation, that was probably 50% of the people who were joining. Coming from low income, or I want an opportunity. Then there was some patriots, kind of like, not serve my country. 64 people in my unit. How many people can't want to join and serve their country?
Yeah.
But cash bonus, money for college. I went and made a kid, and now I got to do something. But the reason I somewhat push military, because I'm gonna tell you, if you're lazy, don't go in the military. You'll be lazy when you get there. You got to have some heart. If you're undisciplined and you go to military, they're not going to make you disciplined. It's going to expose the undiscipline that you already have.
Yeah.
You have to have something to want to do better, or something already has to be there. Because there are people going to military, end up fighting, drinking, smoking, blowing their money, buying cars they can't afford, and end up right back out a loser. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you the truth.
Yep.
It doesn't change somebody into something that they're not, but it is a decision that is an option that can make your life better. A thing I didn't get before I went that someone told me, it was an E7. And I'm trying not to use a bunch of military language, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The higher the pay, the higher the rank. He had made E7 in 11 years, which is pretty fast. He told me when I was looking for, going to sign up for it, I was like, you can do the regular route they tell you, go to college, because college is the greatest. College is everything. You can pay somebody to go to college, then pay somebody afterwards to train you how to get a job, and then have to go look for your own job and have to pay the student loans back. Or you can come in the military. We will pay you. We'll train you. We'll pay for you to go to school. We'll send you to school, and we'll give you a job. And also, if you want another job, we'll help you go find another. It didn't sink even while I was in until later when I got older. Because every time something doesn't go right, I always go back and wave the military. Hey, I'm a veteran. Military. Oh, come to the front of the line. Veteran preference on jobs, cutting the line in unemployment and all those job fairs, military first, 10% off, even dates. Take a woman out. Hey, can I get a military? Can I get that 10? Can I get that 10? This is ongoing for the rest of my life. And some other stuff I might get into a little later. But I don't like to see 16, 17, 18, which is the prime age, 18 to about 25, most impressionable years as far as men making decisions, and women too, playing around, kind of trying college, kind of some job, playing, this here. Just look at the option. Bring the recruit over, and a recruiter with integrity. I got to say it. During rough times, some recruiters will tell you anything. That's just something to be aware of. Yeah. But people that you know that are prior service, get as much information as possible. See if it's an option that can be beneficial. So people want to work in tech. I want to be a repair. I want to, they have their list of jobs. Be a truck driver. Look at doing it for the military and then seeing what the military can do for you. Go ahead.
I will say too, to your point about a recruiter with integrity, because as I shared before I signed on the dotted line, the recruiter that I was working with, she encouraged me to check all the branches. Well, a lot of military recruiters are not going to do that because, again, I worked, the military interest processing station is where you go to do your military physicals. That's where you go to raise your hand. And I worked very closely with recruiters, and at the end of the month, they have quotas. So at the end of the month, when they was trying to make those numbers, they will tell you whatever you want to hear to get you in. So I would often tell young people, if it's not in writing, it didn't happen.
That is true.
I had to often tell young people before I swore them in, because that was part of one of my duties and they said, well, yeah, I'm going to do this. And I said, you are? And so, well, yeah, my recruiter told me this. So I would always tell young people, it's good to listen to the recruiter, but if you have somebody that that's in the military, like he's saying, that's been in, you ask them, or you take them with you so they won't be blowing smoke up your behind. Because I had to get some recruiters together.
Thank you.
About not being truthful. I had to get them together. Because again, sometimes because of that, I don't want to get too far off the, topic, but sometimes because they will be misled coming in, that will give them a bad taste about the military because they were brought in erroneously.
Yeah, I seen it in 98. September 11th hit, I was already out. And there were some people promised some things, some bonuses in the sky and whatever. Not gonna go overboard into it, but it does happen. But just in general, TJ's experience will be different than mine. She joined at 85. 98 is different. 2001 is different. The world is ever changing. Right. So it's no fixed thing with the military where I'm going to be in the Army, I'm going to be a cook, and I'm going to work 2 days a week. No, you're going to do it with however it happens. If there's downtime, like 98, when I went in, it was peaceful. 2000, when I left, it was peaceful. 2001, different story, but I was out. I never deployed. I can tell you some people who went in 1 month into just joining were out there in the woods somewhere. And another rumor, because I'll forget this because I didn't write it down. Common question. I don't want my baby going to war. Oh. As far as safety and whatever in the military, if you're a cook, that's what you do. You cook. You don't shoot with one M16 in the other hand and cook with, and it's not an M16 in one hand and a spatula in the other. If you're signal and communication, setting up wires, if you are a medic, depending on what you pick is going to be a form of what you do. So a lot of stuff you see on TV, that's just TV. When I went in, only 10% of the military was combat armed. Excuse me, 10% of the Army was combat armed. Means 90% is support. Even within combat arms, I was field artillery. We're behind, miles behind infantry. So we can't see the people that we're shooting. If we deploy and if we even go to war to begin with. But do people go? Yes, they go. Do people deploy? Yes. Do people not deploy? I know some people who've been in the Army 20 years, never deployed.
I didn't.
No. Wow. Never?
No. But again, like you said, I entered in 86. 86.
Mm-hmm.
I was on active duty, 86. I enlisted in 86. I was on active duty, got commissioned in 98. Again, peaceful. So nothing was happening. 2000, nothing was happening. 2001, it happened. As a matter of fact, I was at the military interest processing station on 9/11. So everything changed. But because of my support, I was a human resources officer. So I did not deploy. There were some human resources officers that did. I did not. So
Hey, Edom Man, 13 Delta. Is that fire direction? I'm just curious. I was 13 Bravo, field artillery. We didn't have Delta when I was in. Just curious. But it's just a common thing people had that fear. Are you gonna have to leave from home? 90%, 95% likely you're gonna have to leave them same cousins and them that if you're from Arizona and you join, you're not gonna get guaranteed to be stationed right there 10 minutes up the street at the base. No, you go where they send you. Some stations are better than others. That's just what it is. You might go overseas to Germany, Korea, or whatever. You'll get paid more overseas. But what you got going on at 17 and 18 anyway? Let's be real. That little girlfriend you got, Big Tony's gonna get it. Come on. I ain't gonna get it. But no, it's an option and it's a whole life option. And it produces life results and it has lifetime benefits. I'm going to post this in the chat. I'm going to just post a couple links and y'all can check them out if y'all want. Military pay. And then I'll talk about some education benefits. But I'm not going to go all day crunching numbers of how much you get paid.
Especially if you are a single young person and you have no responsibilities other than to yourself. Why not? My brother, again, we're talking about the 80s, but my brother enlisted at 17 into the Navy. He was on nuclear subs. He went all over the world.
Hey, quick question. Can y'all see what I posted? Because I don't have a wrench. Can y'all see what I just posted, the links, or no, in the chat? Are they showing 2 links that I just posted?
I don't see them.
Okay, I don't have a wrench. Bolo, if you're there, some of the links in the back chat, if you could post them. They're just the military pay. One's reservist and one is for active duty. Go ahead, Ms. Randolph.
And he went all over the world, and again, he was in, I think, for 5 years. But again, the experience and to your point, the places that he went, he may not have ever been able to go there had he not had that. And he had made lifelong friends. And, it's something that's invaluable. And again, I understand, like I said, he said, this was before 9/11. So things are different. But it's constantly changing. But regardless, I think it's an investment in yourself that, there's no downside in my opinion. some people who went into the military said, I was just going in for initial list, 4-year enlistment, and I ended up staying 20. So, but you don't know unless you try. You might find, because again, it's so funny. I have my high school yearbook, and I saw in my yearbook, I wrote what I was going to be. I was going to go to the University of Oklahoma and major in accounting, and I was going to do this. The military was nowhere in it. You could not have convinced me at 17, 18 that I was going to be nothing with the military, nothing. But it was one of the best things I could have done for myself. It was one of the best things I did for, raising my daughter. And you talk about those ongoing benefits. My daughter got the benefit of the educational benefit. So, you understand me? So again, it's residual.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into, actually I can mention some of that now. There are some links posted in the chat because I'm not going to crunch the numbers. A lot of this is your own or your people's own research. And ask a vet, ask a person, we can explain it. One link is reserve pay. Miss TJ knows more about reserves than I do. Reserves or National Guard, they go 1 weekend a month, a Saturday and a Sunday. I believe it's usually an 8-hour workday, once per month. And sometimes throughout the year, they do a 2-week training.
It's generally every year, unless it's changed.
Yeah, every year. But it's not guaranteed that it's going to be in the summer. I know friends that had their 2 weeks, not during most of my friends who were reservists were college students. And sometimes it's not during this college school, during the summer.
That's true.
Some units got flexibility, some don't. Depends on the time. But you do get paid. The pay for the drill is there. In 98, when I went, they used to only pay 75% of your college tuition. Now they pay 100% of it. And they're even offering cash bonuses. Reservists getting 10. I seen a $20,000 bonus for reservists. I couldn't believe it. Where was that in 98?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Every job doesn't give you everything, but some jobs are either in critical needs because it's dirty work. And some of them, the people aren't smart enough, or it's it requires a special skill, and it'll have $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 bonus. This Navy and Army usually got the most money for bonuses, but other branches, I believe so too. Active duty, most common you're going to hear is 3 or 4 year enlistments, and it's going to cover your training. If you pick simple job, your training might only be 5 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. But if you're doing something super technical, super hands-on, your school can be up to like a year. My dad was in the Navy. He did electronics. His school, after 8 weeks of basic training, was like a year and a half. But the more technical, those actually usually transfer as college credits. So if you want to go get your electronics, you might got 18, 20, 30 credits already covered into your degree. Air Force and Navy are usually the better branches for that. If somebody asks me what branch is better, I'm going to be honest. Each branch does something different. Promoted the fastest, Army. Biggest branch, Army. Less combat, I believe, would be Navy, because when they deploy, they're out partying somewhere in the Philippines while other people are actually fighting and on ground in the woods or whatever.
Or they're on a ship.
Yeah. But Navy, I'm from Virginia. The Navy, I had a cousin who was stationed. He's 4 years younger than me. He was stationed in Norfolk when I was in college. He was living on a ship. He wasn't living in an actual like barracks, which is kind of like a dorm room. He was living on a ship. He had no space. So there's just pros and cons in each one. Air Force usually has the best facilities and takes better care of their people. Marines have the most pride. It's the most physical. Coast Guard, I really don't know. I'm just being honest. I don't know. I don't know anything about them. But find what branch works best for you or best for your people or best for that time. The program you may want or your child or your cousin may want might be offered. They really want to be Navy, but the Army got that program. Look at the Army.
And also, again, this is something else. They have Space Force. They didn't have that.
I don't know anything about Space Force.
I don't know anything about Space Force either, but I know that is one of the branches. I don't know anything about it. But they have it.
Money wise, another thing I won't speak on is I'll speak to the old, but I do not understand the new military retirement. I'm gonna just be honest. It used to be that you work 20 years in the military active duty and you get 50% of your final pay. I know a friend who did 20 years. Yeah, he did 20. He retired as an E7. His base pay, let's say it was 4,000, let's say it was $5,500 a month. He gets 2,700 for the rest of his life as a retirement. I believe it's changed. I'm not going to speak to it because there are things that are changing. I'm not going to speak and tell you. And also, we are not recruiters or personnel. We're not held liable. We are just people speaking our opinions on the military based on our experiences. Be sure to do this. This is not being recorded for quality assurance purposes. Be sure to do your own research. Talk to people who may know more than me. I told you, I got out in 2000, but I'm from a military area. A lot of friends military. I'm kind of knowledgeable on the things that I do know and the basic concepts of military, as well as Miss Randolph. She know more than I do. But I was gonna say something. I forgot what I was gonna say. Go ahead, Miss Randolph.
Well, one of the things too. One of the things that determines the kind of job you can get is how well you test.
Oh.
That is very important. There are some people, particularly men, who want to go infantry. I'm talking about the Army, who wanted to go combat arms. There are some who want to go combat arms because, my ex-husband was infantry, he was a cavalry scout. He wanted that. But there are those who go into combat arms based on their test scores of what was available to them. So the better your test score or the higher your test score, the greater your options of the kind of jobs that you can choose from, of course, depending on the needs of the service. But you have a chance to be a little bit more competitive and a little bit more choosy. I forget what my test score was, but I was able to go into admin. Well, I was able to go into admin, but my score wasn't high enough to go into what's the word? Dadgummit. It wasn't cybersecurity. It wasn't what they call it, intelligence. It wasn't high enough to go to Intel. So again, it depends what your skill set is, how you test. And again, I'm not a good test taker. I've never been a good standardized test taker. Some people are. So if you're thinking about it, and you may be like me, or you have a young person that you are mentoring or one of your children, and they're not good test takers, you might want to start having them practice with that ASVAB. I have a story for you. There's a young man, one of my daughter's best friends came to live with us for a minute while they were in high school. He didn't have his GED. Well, he went to Auntie TJ's boot camp. And I got him the GED book, and he was studying hours every day. He took the GED and passed it. Then he wanted to go into the Army. He knew he wanted to be infantry. Well, because again, I had a background working with recruiters, and I know you got to have a test score. We had practice tests every week to get him ready. Because he wanted to go combat arms, but I wanted to arm him with the ability to choose. That's key.
Yeah, when I went in, if you had a GED, I think a 31 was the cutoff score to be in the Army. Air Force was a 40. But to qualify for the bonuses and the Army College Fund and all the extra money and the good stuff, you had to score 50. Then specialty fields, you had to score even higher.
Yeah.
I had them scores. I ain't gonna lie. I had them scores. My issue was I only signed a 2-year enlistment. So all the good stuff was like, yeah, you got to do 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Like, I ain't doing that. Right. So took whatever job for 2 years. Turned down some good ones my dad told me I should have took. not listening, and ended up with combat arms something because I thought it'd be fun. And I was out there freezing to death and miserable. But it is what it is. But no, you had to get the better you score as well as timing. At least for a person coming in through college, 18, 19, talk to your recruiters early, beginning of your senior year. The best times to start looking at jobs, at least back then, was November, December. Don't wait till 2 weeks before graduation to talk to the recruiter, because they might have had 400 slots or 200 slots for the good stuff.
Right.
And they took them all. They paid the bonuses out. Now they don't need you. So they only got cook and they only got military police, and that's all you get to choose from because you were late.
And then they come and tell you, well, if you go in now as a cook, in a couple of years, we can transfer you over to this. No. Again, if it's not in writing, it ain't real. No.
You might can get a bump. You might can get stationed over there with your cousin.
Yeah.
Now they do offer station of choice. That's an option if it's offered. Cash bonus or something if it's offered. Airborne, all that the crazy stuff. Mandrell's not here, but y'all who know Mandrell, he did all that stuff. Green Beret, Special Forces, Air Assault. People who want to do that, if you qualify, yes, it's there. But most of y'all can't do that. I ain't built for that. But if you want to do it
so bad.
Not me. I can keep.
I wanted to so bad.
But
once I became a mother, I said, I can't risk it. I can't risk it.
Nah, but I'm always going to push for the 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Look at it. Don't let the reason that somebody doesn't go, I don't want to leave home. I don't want to leave my mama, my friend. Come on, bro. No. Or if reserves, you just get to stay home or whatever. But once you go, like part of growing up is seeing the world, making an actual grown person decision. If this is for you, if you see it like financially, y'all can look at the numbers in the pay. We weren't making no money when I went in. The most I ever got as an E3 with 2 years experience after taxes was $490 a paycheck. That wasn't no money in 2000 when I got out. Now I think E1s and E2s are getting $2,500 and $3,000 a month before taxes. They're actually paying them now.
But also go to your point, inflation. E1s, E2s, many of them you ain't got to worry about no room and board. You ain't got to worry about no food. Also, let's keep it a buck. Your health benefits covered, dental covered. See, a lot of times young people, and I was no different. I didn't think about stuff like that. I didn't think about how important it was to, have health insurance and dental insurance. But when I had my daughter and went on active duty, that was one of the main reasons that made me decide to go on active duty, is because I wanted to ensure, I had a steady income, upwardly mobile, but I had health benefits, dental benefits, and life insurance for my child if something were to happen to me.
Yeah, I was 18. I didn't care about none of that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Single at 18.
Yeah. But the thing about it is, single and 18 and 19, you still get sick. Even if you don't have kids, you still get sick. You still break stuff, especially if you're jumping out of airplanes. You still got to get your teeth fixed for free. So, that's why I'm offering, the insight of things that a lot of times young people don't think about, because I didn't think about it. Again, when I was in the reserve, and if I would have thought about it, maybe I would have gone on active duty, but I decided to go to reserve because I was, I was kind of scared. I didn't know anything about the military. But again, when you're 16, and again, it positions you for, you do your 2 to 4 years, it positions you for when you get out, you are far more ahead than your peers oftentimes. Just based on your life experiences alone.
I'm gonna cover something real quick.
Okay.
I think we put in there, and this is generic for y'all to look up on your own. And this is public info. You look it up, you'll find it. How much do military people get paid by the rank? How long it takes to make the rank? That's public. I think I put a link in there. Look at your own. Military people are not broke. If you get married or have a child in the military, you get extra pay. I'm not going to cover the numbers. I don't know them. Depending on where you live, if you live in Cali, they'll pay you Cali. If you live in Virginia, you'll get Virginia pay. You can live off base and they're paying for you to live there. Not going to go in detail. I don't know the numbers. Education benefits. I'm going to say it like this. 100% of your tuition paid. We're just talking about the federal and military benefits. This was called the GI Bill that y'all probably hear of. There's one called Chapter 33. That's the most common. I think Bolo put it in the chat. Simply put, they pay your tuition. They pay your books. You go to school, pretty much wave your veteran card, you go for free as you go. They pay you every month. I was under the old one on one end. I had to pay my own tuition, but they gave me like $1,000 a month, which is good for a 20-year-old. It was $1,106 by the time I spent the money. It lasted 36 months worth. And I didn't miss any college parties. I was dressed nice and fresh, had a car and a full tank of gas. I was good. That's how you're supposed to go to college.
That's right.
But yeah, I came off active duty. I was 20 and went to school. They give a housing allowance. Now I think it's at least between $2,000 and about $3,000 a month that you get to go to school with on Chapter 33, whatever you call it, benefits. That means you go to military 3-4 years. When you come out, you say, I want to go to college, which you can go to college while you're in. That's 100% paid for during your off time. Depending on your job, the training you get on your job can count as college credits. I'm going to be real. If you're a cook, no, you ain't really getting much credits. But if you're some kind of engineer or medical or tech, something in the tech field, that might be a year worth of college credits already on the books, along with your experience. But then you get out, you say, I want to continue this. You go to college, might be getting $2,500 to $3,000, $3,500 in money. They don't take taxes out. And I believe it doesn't count as income when you do your taxes. Not sure. Don't remember. Been a while. The other education benefit is, I'm going to talk about injuries. I'm going to just be real. And I'm going to make it short because I'm not going to go all in detail about it. People in the military get hurt. People in the military get injured. Some people get really damaged, depending on what you do and what you, anything that happens, car accident, I think, honestly, on or off base, you can file a disability claim. Talk to people who know. I don't know anything about it. But it's on a scale of 0% to 100%. And there is a pay scale of how much money you can get. 0 to 30%, you get preferences on government federal jobs. Means you go on the top of the list. This also can apply to city and state. I don't know that much about city and state, but I know in federal, it is a big bonus. And a lot of times they help you transition from military or prior military into federal positions. You go to the top. The average federal employee's salary as of like 3 years ago was $107,000. You ain't gonna start there, but federal employees make money. I'm not gonna talk about federal employee benefits. Y'all got a lot of homework, but those who get, and sometimes it happens later, you injured your back, your neck when you were 21 in the military, but when you were 34, it really started having problems. Now you're going to the doctor and going to have appointments, or your ankle went from swollen to broken. I'm just leaving it in these terms. You can still go back and refile. And if your disabilities get up to 100%, 100% pay is like $3,900 a month for a single person, and more depending on if you're married with dependents. No taxes. You get free license plates. And think it's 20 states, you don't have to pay property taxes on a mortgage. You don't pay closing costs. Actually, veterans of 10% don't have to pay closing costs. I think that's every state, not sure. But Florida and Texas, I know. Um, 100% disabled veterans, spouses get to go to college for free. They also get $1,574 a month while they're going to college. I don't know what the time frame.
As
But
do
your
your children.
the dependents, your children from age 18 to 26 get to go to college free, covered, and they get $1,574 a month, no taxes. I just so happen to know somebody who is 100%. His wife is 100%. He has a federal job that pays about 180. She has a federal job that pays maybe 140, 150. He has 2 children. One is 22, now has a federal job. She did her undergrad, living at the same house, $1,574 a month, 4 years. Now she's deciding, why don't you just go to grad school and get some more? She's gonna go till she's 26. The son is 18, he just started. That's another $1,574 a month. And they're going to college for free. There's $11,000 coming in untaxed into the household, just off of disability and education benefits. Just those. And there's more.
One of the things I'll say too, say for instance, you go into the military and you decide to say 4 years, let's say you decide to say, not a full 20, but 4 to however many years. And you get that disability rating of 0 to 30%, which gives you a veteran's preference for applying for federal jobs. Your time that you spent in the military, you can buy into your retirement, which means that there are fewer years that you would have to be working as a federal civil servant, because you would have paid into your retirement from your time that you were in the military. So that military time could be vested towards your civil service retirement. Okay. Mm-hmm. Also, to the point about disabilities, one of the things, particularly when you're young, you don't think about certain things like that. Yeah, I got hurt, but I'm young, I'll bounce back or whatever. And more often than not, you do. But it's very important for you to always keep copies of your own records.
Yes.
I'm going to say that again, just to make sure that I'm making myself clear. You keep a copy of your own records. No matter what the military says, no matter what you keep a copy of your own records. Especially you get a copy before you get out, because stuff has a way of getting lost. I'm not telling you what I heard, I'm telling you what I know. Because I'll just use myself as an example. Your auntie used to have a lot of hair, you see back there. But I started to have hair problems on active duty, and they had documented it, but it was no big deal because, again, I had a lot of hair. Well, when I got out of the military years later and my hair started really thinning, I filed a claim for alopecia. And initially they said no, but because your auntie had copies of her own records, I was able to go in and show where they had listed it in my records. Yeah. Because
Auntie TJ, I didn't know. I didn't know that you could file alopecia. No, nobody told me.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know.
If you go back and find it in your records, maybe you can go get it.
I might can find some of my hair in my records. I don't know.
So again, initially they said it's not service connected. Well, again, I was able to comb through my records, and it wasn't a whole bunch, but there was some documentation there that showed while I was on active duty, this was an issue that I brought to the attention of medical providers because I had a spot in the middle of my head all of a sudden. So yeah.
Yeah, keep track of your records. Listen to the people who know what they're talking about. Next topic, I just got to be honest. Then I think we'll drop the link. People got questions, and I love to hear from Eda Man, another fellow veteran. I'm gonna be real with you. We sound good and trying to sell something. Oh, military is great. There are some cons. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's perfect and it's degrading. Hey, I'm happy to be in the military today. Nah, it wasn't free. I'll let TJ go first. Just your opinion. This is opinionated. What do you think some of the cons are of joining the military?
Well,
It could be the treatment, it could be physically, it could be deployment, mental health.
I can't speak for deployment, but what I will say as a woman in the military, and I'll just say this, not only as a woman, but a woman at a time was considered an attractive woman. I had to work that much harder so people wouldn't think that I was skating. I signed up for the harder jobs because I wanted to be taken seriously. There was some sexual harassment, but because I was never afraid to stand my ground and speak up, I did not succumb to some of the things that some of the other women did. But that does happen. It does happen.
You mean favorable promotions?
You know, or they would see, they would propose that, but again, because I always want to earn my keep, I wanted nothing. I was gonna earn mine the hard way. I never wanted preferential treatment, but if I'm gonna sit up here and say that some didn't take advantage of, that would be a lie. But there are some who did not want to be, who wanted to, do it the right way and got harassed for not succumbing to those things. So, and that might have been why I started to lose my hair, to be honest, because there were some stressful things. There was some stress. There was, a time that I had to be a whistleblower.
Oh.
Yeah. There was some time, I'm not gonna lie, there were some racial undertones. I'm not gonna lie about that either. But guess what? That's everywhere. No matter what career field you go into. So that's my part. I'll go a little bit deeper later, but go ahead.
My personal cons, you're away from home. I was 18, I signed up and I was gone. I'm from Virginia. Next thing you know, I'm in Fort Lewis, Washington. So there's no coming home on a weekend or next month I'll be home. No, I don't know when I'm getting home. And at the time, phone calls were 10 cents a minute after 9 p.m. on the room of my phone. It's 9 o'clock when I can finally pay 10 cents. Everybody, my parents, it's 12 o'clock midnight. I can't even call them, so I had to wait till the weekend. But that's just part of adulthood. The things that were really not cool, there's some people who are just weak people. And now they've been in the Army longer than you. They're E4, they're E5, they get to talk to you any kind of way. And you really want to drag them out behind somewhere and let them know what it really is, but you just can't do that.
True.
And you have to deal with some stuff that you don't want to deal with. And if you get into something, it might be your word against their word. So you really have to play a game that you might not want to play. I've been there. It sucks. I'm not going to lie to you. But it's life. Yeah. And that did prepare me for it was all men where I was combat arms. But you got to be able to, you got to have some discernment and have some patience. Like in the real world, you can't just react and just go. You're just gonna have to deal with some things. This is unusual. I did not experience racism one day in 2 years in the military. It was actually the opposite for me. People in basic that were racist they started to settle their racism in basic and on active duty. Now that they're around and get to talk to each other or have to work with each other, they start to realize, black people ain't like that. White people ain't like that. Hispanics ain't. I saw the opposite, but that was my anecdotal experience. Over there
Now,
was
when
racism. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. When I talk about racism, I'm talking about institutional racism.
Yeah. I was an E1, E2, E3. I wasn't
Okay.
important enough.
Okay. Okay. I'm talking about this because again, by the
Yeah, you
time I
were
was an
officer.
officer, I could see promotion boards, and I sat on promotion boards and saw how people were evaluated compared to others. So, but again, how do you prove it? So that is why it was important for me. I always knew I was going to have to work twice as hard. I always knew. And I was prepared to do that. Because if I was not going to get promoted, you're going to have to tell me why. So being subpar was not an option for me. Particularly when I put on those bars. I might have kind of been half-assed when I was, E1 through E4. But when I decided I was going to be an officer, I was in it to win it. And I saw some things. But to your point, for me, when I went in, I was not active duty right away. So it wasn't as bad for me not to be away from home, other than when I went to my basic training at AIT and I was gone for maybe 6 to 8 months. But my brother, he was active duty and he was gone all the time. He was on the submarine. We wouldn't even know where he was. So, but what doesn't kill you make you stronger.
Yeah. Injuries. I was outside, was lifting stuff. It was hardcore work. There's no such thing as we lifting these 33-pound rounds and you say my foot hurt, my back hurt. If your back hurts, that E4 that's lifting them too, his back hurts too. So it is what it is. You better be injured. But them nickel and dime hurt, that stuff later becomes injuries, which becomes some. And there's a part that they do take care of you, and there's a part of the military that doesn't take care of you because you got to get the job done. And some of them who are old school don't feel no sympathy. Your ankle swollen, whatever, they want to have you still out there. And then you got to step up and like, look, man, my foot won't fit in my boot. Let me get my foot together. There was some of that. And I didn't like being stuck with all these needles. I don't know what I got vaccinated for. Diseases that then they lose your record. You got to get stuck again. Then you go over here. I'll let y'all form your own opinion, but it is what it is. They're medical, their rules, and it's what it is. The other thing is I was single with no kids, so this wasn't me. The marriages that I saw in the military are some of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. The people that people were dating, all the internal problems don't change when you get in the military. Some of them get exposed and multiply. So yes, dude never had no money before. He got him a nice car. He goes and gets a tramp outside the base and she's driving his car. He goes to the deploy or the field for 10 days, comes back. Some other dude is driving that car and they wreck it and he didn't have no car insurance. Then they're fighting in the club. 3 months later, she's pregnant with a dude on the other side of the base and it goes through the same thing. You see all kind of wild stuff. But whatever relationship, family problems that people have, they just carry them into the military.
Yeah.
But deployment, I've seen it be very rough on people. Their kid is sick. They're having problems with their spouse or girlfriend, and then they're out 13 days. Then they're back. Then they're out. Then they may get, that's some real stuff that people go through.
Or months. They're gone for months.
Yeah, months. I haven't seen the months, but I've seen the problem just on the days. They were in a real bad domestic argument and they really need to work it out, but he got to go to the field 7 days and it just is what it is. And she got to deal with it. Or they're having problems with the kids and they just got to deal with it. Because the military is going to come first before you, your marriage, or your children. That is kind of how it is. Let's drop the link. I want to hear what Eda Man got to say. No, but I assume some people may have some questions. Y'all feel free to put them in the chat, as well as military people first. If people want to come up and ask a couple questions, if that's okay with you, Bolo. And then we can Eat a man, I'm gonna kick you for that comment. I saw that. I'm gonna get you on the dust panel for that. I'm gonna let it slide on military day, but I'm gonna get you on the dust panel. What's good, Eater Man?
How you doing?
First of all, what's your military status? With who you?
So I was in the United States Army. I was in the Army for 8 years. I'm 100% disabled. I know y'all covered that a little bit. So gave the Army a lot. I have nothing bad to say about it. I heard you guys talking a little bit about the Air Space Force. My niece, she go to MEPS March next Monday for Space Force. So I've definitely been involved in that process, know how that process worked. But I got a couple minutes before I have to get back to work. Thank you for the invite too, Dustin. I wish I could have been here for the whole time, but I definitely got all these kids, you know, and I got out of the military. I started having all these kids and I got to take care of them. But I want to give a perspective. Y'all might disagree with this perspective. Was you going, Dustin, or you want me to wait?
No, go ahead. You got it.
Yeah. So let me tell y'all what it is, right? What the military is. Because a lot of people try to put this in words and nobody really, it's hard to explain what it is, right? And this is what I'm gonna tell. This is what I told my niece, right? I say, you know how they explain white privilege? It's really military privilege. Listen, it is literally listen. If you really break it down, when you talk about, oh, they get advantages on houses, that's the military. Oh,
Yep.
they don't have to pay. They don't have to have a 650 score. They can get approved for 540. It's called military privilege, right? So how they explain, the world explain what white privilege is. That's what military. They get jobs over anybody else. It's called military privilege,
Yep.
and anybody can get it, right? It's not white privilege. I have seen people in the military who had no citizen status become citizens throughout the military, right? They can become U.S. citizens. And when you become part of the military, you ain't 1/3, you're not 1/3 a citizen or whatever the other stuff in the Constitution say. You are a whole citizen, and they treat you like a whole citizen. So that's kind of like the simple way that I kind of break it down and break it down what that means. But military is a blessing, man. I tell people if you really understand it, I came up in a different generation than them. Let me say that. Because when I enlisted into the military, it was 2009, 2010, actually a little bit later. So we was crazy. Let me tell you, my generation, we was crazy. Listen, we knew 9/11 happened. See, it wasn't no theory. We knew that they was at war. So us coming into the military, I remember the first time I really felt hate was September 11 in middle school. And I hated it. That was the first time. And I know, Bolo, I shouldn't hate. I ain't find Jesus yet, Bolo. Just give me a little grace. But that was my first time feeling like hate. I hated this group of people because I was like, people are trying to attack us here. So in 2001 in middle school, I knew for a fact that I wanted to go to the military and I wanted to fight. I was FDC, King of Battle. Shout out to my gun buddy, brother over here. He was a Bravo, which is kind of like the people who put the shells or put the rounds into it. I was FDC, and our job was to direct it where it was going. So I told him, hey, 2 clicks, you know, make sure he got his back pain in check. But yeah, I think another thing that I didn't hear you guys talk about, because y'all did a great job, matter of fact, is clearances. So me being FDC, I had to have a clearance. So what is the military clearance? So this is important when you start talking to people under the age of 18. Huh?
I didn't know FTC had clearances.
You gotta have a clearance. Listen, anytime you can rain hell, you better have a clearance. They better make sure you ain't crazy, because we in FTC, we can hurt a lot of people. People don't, like, we can wipe out a lot of stuff, right? And so clearances. So this is kind of my conversation when I'm talking to young men. Hey man, you thinking
security clearances for the people.
security clearance, yeah.
In the military.
So security clearances are very important if you want hired like cyber jobs, Space Force, all these type of jobs, you got to have a security clearance. And so this is when I started talking to these young brothers, 12 and sisters too. I don't really talk to my wife do all the talking to women, but when I say young brothers, I'm not trying to be facetious, right? But so this is when you start telling these 12-year-old, 13, 15-year-olds, hey man, stay out of jail, stay out of trouble. I need you to stay out of trouble because if you want a job in the military that transition very well, where you could take that security clearance for a government job and different things like that, you need to understand that if you in trouble as a youth, you're not gonna be able to get those clearances. When they start running your background, they start saying, "Hey man, you running every light." They see that you robbing places, and they're like, "No, no, no, you gotta go be a cook, or you gotta go be an 88 Mike, which is a truck driver." But you ain't gonna be able to make decisions at certain levels, right? So security clearances, it's really important for you to stay out of trouble going into the military, right? So the best year for anybody going to the military is their junior year because what people don't know about people in high school in their junior year, they have what we call priority in the military. That means that since they have a whole year to wait, they actually get this, they have favoritism of jobs. That means that they go and they can choose whatever job they want. And since they have enough time, they gonna get the best groups of jobs, right? But I can keep talking. I don't want to get long-winded. I got a lot to say, but the military is great, man.
No, keep throwing. This stuff I didn't know about the junior preference.
Well, that is, if it's
got it a
the
long
same
time
thing,
ago.
it's the delayed entry program because again, you can basically sign up, but you're not actually going anywhere.
Oh, it's delayed.
Until
They can do it they can do it in 11th grade as long as they're 17, right?
well, yeah, they have to because again, their parents have to sign for it. But again, you're not actually going. I mean, if you're 16, because generally you're like 16 as a junior, 16. So you can do the delayed entry, but you're not actually going anywhere. I think until at least 17, because my brother went on active duty at 17, but he graduated at 17. But to that point, his mother had to sign for him to go because he was under 18.
That's correct. So it does give you just better job options because first of all, they say, hey, you are the youngest. The military feel like if they get you at 17, that 20 years that they have, they're gonna get the more out of you than somebody's 23 coming in, right? Because they get more of your body, right? Another thing that y'all guys talked about was the whole idea of 100% benefits. 100% benefits pays you for every child. So that might be why my wife had all these kids that I got to take care of because we get paid for each child, and each one of our children also can be able to go to college. And I have a daughter, 18-year-old right now. And the myth is this right here. This is why I think marriage is important because my stepkids also get this benefit too because I married their mother. They ain't shacking up with their mama because you shacking up, you don't get this benefit. So a lot of these benefits on that end. And I remember it's two different perspectives that we're looking at. First perspective that we heard is from an officer point of view. So I believe that when you start talking about promotions from the officer point of view, I don't know. You got to talk to TJ about that. I have no idea how they get promoted. But when we talk about racism from the enlisted side of point of view, it's a reason we have a point system, right? So our point system is designed to take the racism out of our system. I was racist before I went to basic training. I know a lot of y'all ain't gonna say it. I'm from Georgia, and black people and white folks ain't get along from the part of Georgia I'm at. I'm just gonna say it, right? I know people don't like it, but I was. And I remember it was a guy named Private Sheets. He was from Alabama, and he was racist too. So you had two racist people in one unit, and we fought. Like we fought. I ain't gonna act like we didn't. But what we realized is that I had a misunderstanding of what white people was, and he had and this all happened in basic training. I had a misunderstanding what white people was. He had a misunderstanding what black people was, and it was because we never really been in the same room to have the conversation. But I watched BET and he watched MTV, and we thought we knew what the other was. That's what that was. And even to this day, I said, "Hey, Sheets, go get the bag and the shovel." Sheets gonna say, "Hey, check this out. I'm coming. I'm getting on the plane." So Me and this guy over the last 20 years have built this dynamic relationship, and we didn't start that way. So I kind of more on scam side, but I'm not an officer that inside the military. I remember when me and she first got to fighting, my drill sergeant said, "Hey, we only got one color in this army, and that's green. So y'all need to get over that quick." That you know, say he made that clear that green is the only color, and green is the uniform. So so that's kind of what he made clear. So I think the military is good at that. VA loans, we talked about VA loans, but yeah, like I said, this the privilege. Military privilege is the white privilege that people complain about. So I landed there.
Shout out to Ida, man. Thank you for your service. And to be honest, I say thank you when people say that, but that goes in one ear and out the other when people tell me that. But what was going? Everybody's experience is going to be different. What I hate is going to be different than what this TJ hates. What Ida man likes will be different than what I like. Everybody gonna have their own experience. And the people that are going in now, they're gonna have a different experience. The world is ever changing and everybody's different. We all individuals.
You remind me what I missed when you started talking.
Go ahead.
So one thing I did, the retirement has changed now. So basically they said the retirement was unfair because you would have to do 20 years to retire to get any benefits. So the Army came up with, let's do something like a 401k plan, but wouldn't it be cool if I got out at 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, I still have the ability to pull from a retirement plan. So what they did is they created a plan that you could be able to have something that can benefit you throughout your whole career, whether you do 4 years, 8 years, or 20 years. Now, some people say, hey, the people who got hurt the most was people who do 20 years. But if you look at the military, I think last time I checked, I think it's like 80% of people don't do 20 years. So what they said is they had to find a way to take care of that 80%. And so now if you understand how that works, that goes life insurance. That's another thing that I think we don't talk about. Everybody who's on active duty, when they get off active duty, they can get like a $400,000 policy for pennies on the dollar, what they would pay on the civilian side. I think that's another asset. And talk about disability. So once you get 100% disability, it's a couple things that you qualify for. First thing you qualify is something called Champ VA. Champ VA says that that your family is covered. This is really big. As a veteran, imagine my whole family, my wife, all my kids, no matter how many kids my wife decides to have, we have medical benefits for life, right? I think that's something that people don't talk about. Also with Champ VA, it gives you the ability, like you said, have dental for life, different things like that. Oh yeah, and being 100% disabled, if I got to a place that I could not work, the VA also tell me that they will give somebody, I think it's close to like $3,000 to take care of me. That person can be my wife. So say if something happened to me and she could be my actual caregiver, and they say, hey, since I'm not able to provide because of the things that happened to me in the military, they'll pay her a stipend to take care of me for the rest of my life. So it's a lot of benefits, like I said, and we only talking about, I think we cover 1% of all the stuff that you get in the military, but it is a bad side of it. But I'm gonna turn it back over to Scam.
Yeah. The only bad part is sometimes, ain't nothing wrong with you when you go to file.
Mm-hmm.
You're missing a leg. Your leg stuck in the car and you're walking in there with one leg. Some people, that ain't that bad. And they get 10%. Or they back is cracked in half. You can hear it crustling and crackling when they walk in the office. Oh, I think that happens somewhere else. That does happen. And you got to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. Then you professionals to help you fight. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, it ain't. That's a con.
Go against the grain. Everybody gonna call you a sick call. They're gonna call you a sick call ranger. They gonna say every time you get in trouble, you going over there to the medical and see what's going on. I document everything. Thank God. My adopted grandfather was a first sergeant, right? And I remember my last day see him on earth. He could barely walk. Like he can barely walk. He had an oxygen tank. And I didn't understand one of the strongest men that I ever seen in my life, how he deteriorated at the end of his life. And this is a man that was in shape. And I remember me and him sitting down talking, and I remember I was telling him I was going to the military, and he sat down with me, and it was one of the last things he told me was he said, "Hey, every time you can go to medical, go to medical." And I think that's why that conversation is the conversation that I believe I would get a paycheck for the rest of my life. Right. So before I went into the military, he said, go to medical. He said, if your head is hurting, you're this. Don't. He said, you are a soldier 24/7. So he said, everything that happened to you under their watch, you need to hold them accountable for it. Because if you mess up in their military, they're going to hold you accountable for it. And so it was one of those things throughout my whole career. I remember people used to joke all the time. That's like, they'll go to sit call Ranger. He going again. He going again. Now, be mindful. My knee's purple. It's this color. It's something going on with my knee. But I had other people around me saying, you going, he's like, bro, you got to just tough that out. You going to sick call. Well, it's called sick call. That's like our medical call. You going to sick call. And I remember after I got out, those brothers got out, they said, man, I don't know how you got 100%. I was the sick call ranger that you teased for 8 years. So don't care about what other people saying. You got to make sure you take care of yourself. Because one thing about it, I don't care how much money the military give us, I never get that body back I gave them. And listen, I gave them a nice body. I was A-trained. I don't know about scam. I know that people say, hey, since I done got injured, I gained some weight. I was A-trained. We was running 7-minute miles. You know what I'm saying? We was running 7 per miles, right? So I gave them a great body. And I'm only a shell of that after I left.
Fortunately, I'm still there. I ran a 620 early this year, but I'm just saying.
Here we go.
I did 36 pull-ups last week, but I'm just saying. But no, shout out to Ida, man. Make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you have a plan. If you decide to take this route, first thing I just say, if you got teenagers, you got people, just look at it. Just take a look. Invite a recruiter. Look at the numbers. Look at the jobs. Hey, I want to work in tech. I want to do this, or I don't know what I want to do. Just look. You ain't got to sign nothing. Just know what's available, because you may decide later, or it may be somebody else that you know that, hey, I think you should take a look at this. This should change your life.
Yeah, and you always can say no.
Yeah,
that's like,
and you can do a few years. Like my dad told me, do these 2 years. If you want to get out and go to college. If you want to stay in, because he was enlisted. He had kids. So he kind of had to stay in. He did it 10 years and got out and whatever. But he said if he could do it again, he would have been an officer. Officer is the elite class. There's a whole nother pay scale, a whole nother lifestyle. So he told me, I have the ability to go to college. If I get out and if I want to make this a career, go the officer route. And truthfully, when I got out, my first semester, just like Auntie TJ said, the work ethic from coming out the military, I had a 2.3 GPA from laziness in high school. My first semester in college, I took 19 credit hours and got a 3.353. And I've been out of school 3 years. ROTC guy, I saw him one day, didn't know who I was, just talked to him. You were active duty? You got a 3.53 GPA? You want a scholarship? He pretty much said, come see me Monday, I'm going to give you a scholarship. The deadline was March. He talked to me in May. All I had to do was show him my GPA. He just gave me a scholarship that Monday. But I didn't want to be military, which I chose to get out. I wanted to be a math teacher and do something else. But it was an option. If you're going to do 20 and you can be an officer, go to college, be an officer. Go start up here versus doing all the work in the middle. But it's nothing wrong with the middle.
No, it isn't.
But officer?
I think what made me a better officer is that I was enlisted first. But, and like I said, I went on active duty. When I got my commission and went on active duty, I was 30 years old. I was 30 years old. So basically, I was starting my full-time military career as a second lieutenant at 30, where most lieutenants
22,
were like
23.
22, 23. So, you know, I was much older, but I went through ROTC as a graduate student. And I knew that it was going to be a little bit more challenging for me because I was older, but by the same token, it was the best thing I could have done for myself at that particular age, because I didn't know which direction my life would take. You know, being a single mother, moved back home with my daughter, you know, I didn't know. So I said, let me give this active duty thing a try. And I'm glad I did. You know, it enabled me to give my daughter a life that was a very privileged one. A very privileged one. That child is bougie. But again, you know, and I'm grateful to the military for that. You know, she would, well, my mom is an officer. Well, my mom, you know, but again, I can't put it into words. I mean, there were some bad things as in any profession, but I have no regrets. And it gave me the life that I really wanted to have for myself as a woman, as a mother, and as a leader. And I was the bomb. I was that girl. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you.
And I gotta get out of here. Appreciate you having me. Scam. You might know a little bit about it, but talk a little bit about if people don't want to go to college, they take that same money and apply it to apprenticeship program. I know some electricians, different things like that. So if you say I don't want to go to college, but you want to get a trade, it's a way that you can take those same GI benefits and take it for the trade industry. So you're not just locked into the traditional college. I know, like, I got friends, electricians, I got people that are carpenters, plumbers, HVAC. You can take all of those skills and learn it with that same benefit. But I gotta go because I gotta make sure these babies eat good, because my people believe that I'm supposed to give them the life that TJ, the officer, did, and I wasn't no officer, so I gotta make up that little bit, you know, how my checking and savings work. Gotta make it up a little bit. But I appreciate y'all guys having me, and I'll see you guys later.
All right. As you were. Yeah. If anybody else got any questions they want to put in the chat, I don't mind taking the time, or if Bolo is kicking us out because we took a good hour and some change. Or if not, y'all see me around. I'll be around. I don't talk about certain stuff to the public. But if you see me around and got questions, or if I can lead you to somebody who may know, like I tell you, I only know the pieces of the military. I just know it as also a concept. I was in 98 to 2000, then around people, and I see people do things. Just like I'm learning from what E-Man just said about Space Force and about other benefits that I didn't even know about. So it's an ongoing thing. But long story short, my conclusion is that all the job. Hey, what's up, Bolo?
Hey. I had a few questions I wanted to ask you too.
Oh, go ahead.
Do I count?
Yeah, you good. Eat a man first. Green preference, so eat a man came first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some I've had some people ask me about what does an honorable discharge guarantee?
I can't say what it guarantees, but there's 3 types of discharges.
Okay.
Honorable, you did your term, you didn't get in trouble, everything is good. It's just like having a degree. That degree is permanent. It can't be taken away from you.
Okay.
But you are an honorable, and whatever's in your contract, guaranteed GI Bill, guaranteed whatever bonus, whatever is in your contract is what you get. But you are a veteran for life if you have an honorable discharge.
Okay.
From active duty. Reserve, TJ could speak to. Other than honorable,
right?
You got in a little bit of trouble, or it could be a medical thing, but you didn't make it all the way. Medical, you might get partial benefits, depending on whatever happened to medical. That's a whole nother thing. But some people, most common for us is people who smoke weed and got kicked out. So yeah, you're kicking you out. You're not getting your GI Bill, but your terms weren't so bad, you just didn't make it. Dishonorable discharge.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest. I really don't want to talk to you about no. That's worse than a felony.
I see TJ shaking her head.
I agree.
How are the women regarding the military? That's for TJ. I won't answer that.
Right.
Well, it's funny. I was in 2 branches of the military as an officer, and I will say the Army treated me better as a woman than the Navy did.
I thought the Navy did.
Yeah. I had to, but in both services, I believe that I had to prove myself that much more because it was very important. Because and just keep it honestly, women looked as far as leaders out the gate, you're not going to be taken seriously for the most part. So you're going to have to prove yourself. So I had to prove myself, meaning when I would, it was time to do PT. I'm running with the guys. I'm running. I'm doing as many push-ups as I'm doing. I'm not taking the easy route. I'm not, asking somebody to carry. No, I'm carrying my own stuff. And because of that, I held the women to the same standard. I was a mother on active duty, so I'm not going to let you make excuses for what you can't do as a mother on active duty, because here I am.
Right. Because
they expect you to try to make excuses for what you can or cannot do. What I found that the Army was more receptive to a female leader than the Navy was, because I don't know if it was just being a female leader or being a Black female leader, but I had to tighten up a few in the Navy to make sure they would walk past me and not salute me. I'm like, do you see me? Do you see me standing? Do you see me? But it was interesting because I only had to, in the Navy, that was the only time I had to correct somebody.
So what was their response when you did that? What was their response?
They popped that salute.
Okay.
They popped it.
Okay. All right.
But again, like I said before, I'm not going to lie and say that to Vaughn's question, there's some, after all these years, there are many that don't think that we belong there.
Got you. Here's a question for the both of you guys. What mental health services, if you know, because I know you guys have been out of the rat race for a minute, what mental health services are available after your service?
I can only give a generic answer. Depending on what you qualify for, the VA is available. People have their opinions of the VA. I have positive experiences, and I'm not talking just mental health. I'll tie it all in. The VA is available. Veterans are available, and there's a lot of resources that are available, depending on what you find. There's DAV. That's one. But there's certain networks through state, along with the VA, that can provide and connect you with all kind of services. It's all about what you can find.
Okay.
I got to be generic.
TJ?
I agree with Scam. What I found, there are a lot of resources for you when you get out. You have to pursue them. But what I found being on active duty, there are not as many while you were in. And a lot of times that's when you need them.
Okay.
Because when I came in again, I was in a different time. We would encourage our troops to get, if you need help, if you're having difficulty with mental, we would encourage our troops to go. But you as a leader, if you were seen going, that could affect your career. Now, I don't know if it's still like that, but it was. So it was a stigma to go but again, a lot of this was before 9/11. So, you know, a lot of this may have changed since 9/11, because since 9/11, you've had people gone to be deployed. You've had women that have gone to be deployed with that have been subject to assault while they were forward deployed. So it may not be the same as it was. But there are definitely resources available. I have no bad experiences with the VA. I have used them throughout the course of my civilian life, because like Scam said, once you are a veteran and you're honorably, you know, you're
These things are available.
those, it's available, you know, at all the time.
Okay.
But I think what I found, and again, it may not be the same way, I'm not sure that they are as encouraged. Yeah. E-Man said most people are scared to go to seek mental health services on active duty for probably the exact same reason I talked about.
Right.
Because then they're concerned that you could be chaptered out, meaning basically involuntarily separated.
Really? And what happens if that happens? What happens if that happens? Do you lose?
If you're involuntarily separated, it could be like Scam said, medical, and more often than not, it will be honorable or other than honorable if it's medically related.
Yeah,
but
if it's your first term, it might be other than.
Yeah.
But if it's your second term, you're already done 4 and you re-enlisted for another 4 and another, then you'll already be honorable. But a lot of people wanted to stay in and they don't want to be put out.
And so because of that, they suffer in silence.
Okay.
So they may not seek those services because they are afraid that they may be involuntarily separated, or they may be labeled, which is ridiculous, but it happens.
And that's sad, because these are the people that are there to fight for you and be there by your side, and you're giving them a stigma and a fear of being, you know, kicked out. The man came up. I think he wants to say something to that. E, what's up?
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm in a car. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Loud and clear.
Yeah. So the biggest problem with this type of understanding is you get a psych eval when you go through MEPS, right? So they the military feel like they kind of check their X's and O's to make sure that you mentally was stable coming in. And then if you in charge, like say if you are over a sections, you over a battalion, if you start talking to people, they're gonna ask you the questions, hey, have you ever thought about deleting
Harming yourself.
somebody?
Yeah.
And they teach you to delete people. It don't make no sense. And so if you start answering these, like I know a person who lost their command this way. You start saying, "Hey man, I'm struggling with these things." They call you unfit. You unfit to lead these group of people, and you can lose it all. So inside the military, it's frowned upon. It's still frowned upon. You shouldn't talk to nobody. But once we see a lot, they do have abundance of services once you get out of the military to help you with the trauma that you went through.
Okay. So,
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
I do have to mention this, just being honest. It's petty.
Okay.
We circle around these dust panels and then we see people in real life. What kind of services do we have for the civilians?
That's a good point. That's
and
a very
who
good
really
point.
has more PT? Because this off topic but on topic.
Right.
There's a narrative that goes around that military people are crazy or military people are, when most people don't have a lot of problems. What do you see in the regular people and the people out here on these streets?
Well, my response to that would be this.
I'm just in general.
No, I got it. My response to that would be this, and I remember I was talking to Uncle Stu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether, you know, when you go to the service, from my understanding of having a conversation with him, when you go to the service, they teach you some type of understanding towards the things that you're going to be doing or what to expect. Now, whether it takes or whether, you know, they're proficient at it or efficient at it, it's, you know, at least you have that experience. You know, when you're talking about in the inner cities, these youth don't have nothing. There's no training. You know what I mean? There's no training on how to deal with anything, what to go through, the stigma, how to understand what you're going through. And you remember, these cats are getting it when they're 7, 8. We did a video where in LA, where where most of where most of the village is from, where kids are getting deleted at 10. That PTSD. What do I do with that when I'm 10? When you have that stigma in the neighborhood that you don't, you go to a brain doctor, you broke. You're made fun of, and so what I'm saying. So again, information is free. And the more information we get, the better decision we'll be able to make in the decisions or in the situation that we're in. So, I'm just hoping that these questions that I'm asking resonates with somebody. And, I know that you guys will give the best answers that you guys are possibly able to give. So I'll leave it there.
Somebody asked about adultery in the
Yes,
military.
I was about to go to that. Yes.
And the answer is yes.
So his question was, this is Vaughn, is it true that you can be jailed for adultery in the military? She said yes.
Yeah, but so in the military, me and Scam was on the same page, man. I was like, I refuse to get married while I'm in this military. This is why I got married after the military. But it's unlikely. Let me say that. It is unlikely if they found out that, can you lose money? Can you get chapter? Can all those, but you actually to be in prison is unlikely.
What does chapter mean? What does chapter mean?
Kicked out. You can get kicked out for cheating on your wife. Yeah, you can get kicked out. The military can take your money and give it to her.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a real thing. And the one thing about the military, because this is a bad side of the military. The bad side of the military is the military can take your money and make you work twice as long. So you can work 20-hour days and not get paid. It's called extra duty. So like it's not all like people who do wrong get punished. Let's be clear. It's clear that me working for a first sergeant, I've seen some paperwork come across my desk. They say, yeah, we just gonna make him work 20 hours. We're gonna take 75% of his pay. And you like, dang, he working twice as hard for a little bit of pay. But he shouldn't have did what he did.
All right, let me ask you this question. This is for people that are actively in the service. What do most veterans wish they had prepared for before getting out? Like, what would your suggestion be as far as setting things up, retirement, things of that nature or whatever? Go ahead. Scam. We'll go around the panel.
Number one, I wish I'd have knew more about the medical. That swole ankle, some stuff, it's documented. I got it and I'm good. But there was some stuff that I didn't get and didn't know. And times I took people's word for it. My medical clearing getting out, they're rushing. Come on, hurry up, man. Ain't nothing wrong with you. I ain't know nothing. I didn't know to ask those questions. So I had to go backtrack later and ask questions and find stuff out. Another one is taking advantage of college benefits. I took 2 classes when I was in. I could have possibly taken more, but I didn't push the issue. And the last one would be, I wish I'd have picked a different job. Not wish I didn't, but I'm 17. I'm in there, they pressuring, pick this one. How about this one? How about this? And I had high scores. I picked field artillery, which is useless in the outside world, or at least what I did in field artillery.
Right.
When I could have been doing NBC, nuclear biological chemist, I could have been doing signal and communications, supply specialist. All these jobs were offered to me, and they're just rushing, and I had to pick something.
Gotcha.
That looks fun, so I picked it. 17-year-old mind.
Okay. TJ.
Well, in addition to everything he said, I agree completely. I will take it from a perspective of someone who ran the transition program when people were getting ready to get out of the military. A lot of times people don't consider that the military is not just a job. It is a complete cultural shift. It is a cultural shift of the way you think, because unless it's changed, when you are in the military, yeah, you have your military jacket, but you don't really have to sell yourself for your next assignment. They look at your packet. you put your wish list, but they're going to send you where you go. But your packet pretty much speaks for itself, and you're going to get a set of orders, and you're going to go to the next place. But when you get out, and you might get all these awards and stuff that mean a whole lot to you and in your military record. But when you take it to the civilian sector, a lot of times for those who have not been in the military, those things don't mean S. You have to sell yourself, because now your record is just not speaking for itself. You've got to sell yourself to someone that may not have any idea what you did in the military or how important those things were. You need to know how to translate what you did and make it relevant to what you're going to do now in life. And I've seen a lot of people, the longer people stayed in the military, the more I saw them struggle with it, because particularly for senior enlisted or officers, you would walk into a room and your rank signified what you did or how big, what kind of balling status you had. So you didn't have to say nothing. You walked in and they knew, okay, you accomplished some stuff. Well, now no one cares because you look just like the next person.
Got you.
So that's what I would say.
Either man.
You know, I gotta talk about that money. I got to talk about the money, Bolo. TSP. TSP. This is what I would tell any new soldier. This is what I'm telling my niece who's enlisting. Max out your TSP. I got you. So TSP is almost like a savings account, or almost like an investment account that the military is also matching. They might match it like you put in 6% of your income, they match that 6%. I don't know what it is now, but when I was in, they match it almost like dollar for dollar up to a certain percentage, right? And so a lot of people, they want to go to the club. They want to buy these cars that's going to break down and they're going to crash anyways. They're going to waste a lot of money in their youth when they're in the military. Every last one of your expenses is taken care of.
Eat a man.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're paying for your shoes, they're paying for your clothes, they're paying for your food, they're paying for every single thing that you need to be taken care of. So what does that mean? What that means is all of the money that you're spending is spending money. So max out your investment accounts. And that's what a TSP is. So I hope that answered that question.
You did. Here's another question for you guys. Being that, some of you have gone in, so you've seen the effect that it had on your family, and some of you have family going in. So the question is, what is the hardest part of serving that civilians don't see?
I'll let TJ take that one. She had the family.
You're on mute.
I think that, missing those special events.
Okay.
Missing, school programs or different things like that. Or, and to be honest, that's one of the reasons I decided to retire when I did, because I had been selected for promotion. And had I pinned on the promotion, I knew that I was going to possibly have to go someplace else. And my daughter was getting ready to enter into high school.
Got you.
And I needed to be engaged. And I knew that I possibly would have sacrificed that time that she needed me to be present. So I think that is a major concern. Because I wasn't married at that time, so I can't speak to the husband dynamic, but just being a parent, that was a challenge. But I think Scam talked about the challenges, even if you are married to, if you're a civilian, you're married to a civilian, the demands of the military can take a toll on your family life, and just being able to go to see your family every day, or, a 9 to 5 or whatever, that is a privilege that I don't think that some civilians understand or really value enough, because again, those moments are so, you know, I'm gonna just say one quick story. Again, when I was an officer, I went to my officer basic course, in which is basically like your basic training for officers and your job training for officers. And it hit me. There were like maybe 10 females in my class, and the others were males. Of the 10 females in my class, I was the only one that had a child. Now, my male counterparts had children, but they were married and their wives were taking care of their children. I was the only female in my class that had a child. And it got to a point, and my daughter was 4. It got to a point that I could not call her. I had to call her on the weekends, because every time I called her, she said, "Mommy, when are you coming to get me?" It broke me. So I had to wait to call her on the weekends, because I had to remain focused. My other female counterparts couldn't understand that, and neither could my male counterparts, because they had children, but they had wives taking care of their children.
Got you. All right.
Yeah, I'll say
Go ahead.
this.
Go ahead.
This is not me, but I guess it applies to me. My dad was in the Navy. He got out when I was 5. Part of why he got out. If I was 5, my sister would have been 6 and my brother would have been 9. And he was about to make E7 real early, like 10 and a half years. More money. Yeah, cool. But at the time, we were about to get sent to Jacksonville from Virginia. My mom was going through some stuff, some anxiety, and he pretty much had to get out because he had to choose family over military for once. He said he looked and saw some of the people who did 20. He saw some of them that had teenagers getting arrested, fighting. And he remembers my sister, he didn't see her till she was 5 months old because he did a 6-month deployment, got deployed right before she was born, came back from Spain, and here's a 5-month-old monster, and she's crying because she didn't know who he was.
Wow.
It's part of the game. It is what it is.
Right.
But he had to get out, which he didn't want to, because he had to choose family over military.
Got
to
you.
keep the family together.
Yeah, it hurts because sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture and the sacrifice.
Because my mom knew, like, you're going to have to be here. They're getting bigger, older, and uglier. They're going to be out these streets if you're not home. So, yeah.
So here's a question I think both of you could answer. Mm-hmm. Who shouldn't join the military?
DJ, you can go first.
In your opinion, you know, depending on circumstances, depending on attitude, what do you think?
If you think you're going to get a free lunch, don't join the military. Like, you're going to just get the benefits, but you're not going to work for them. Racist, biased, all these judgments and of the world, not open-minded, don't join the military. Undisciplined, addictive behaviors, like can't leave the video games, can't stop eating, unless you're making a decision while joining the military, don't join the military thinking that stuff's gonna fly. It's not, and it's not gonna fix itself. You're gonna carry them same problems. You're gonna get kicked out.
Okay, TJ.
Definitely, and I think again it's so hard because unlike when I went in, a lot of young people now have this mouth. Yeah. And when I went in, it was a different time. You could have the mouth, but you was gonna pay. You was gonna pay. And I'm just gonna keep it. Many of these young people too damn weak, minded. They're weak.
Please unpack that a little bit, please.
They cannot take constructive redirection. You know, they can't control their emotions. You know, and again, that's why my mom said for me that it was one of the best things, because I forget the drill sergeant's name. But see, a lot of times I may not say nothing, but my facial expression will get me into trouble. And as a young private, my facial expression got me into trouble. Every time, he must have told me to do something. I looked at him crazy. So do you know, for the next 8 weeks, and he wasn't even my drill sergeant, anytime he saw me, he was dropping.
Oh, they could do that? So even if they're not directly above you and they just see you, they can just make you drop and give them
because I
push-ups?
had
And
disrespected
basic,
him.
yes.
Anytime he saw me drop, Private, and again, I dropped, but these youngins would be crying, complaining, excuse me, Bolo, bitching. They could, but it made me stronger because each time he was dropping me, it hurt.
Right.
But guess what? I was getting stronger. I was knocking the push-ups out. It got to a point that when I saw him coming, I just dropped.
He didn't even ask.
Because I knew it was coming, but they can't handle it. They can't handle being told that they shit stink. They can't handle it. So if you cannot handle constructive redirection, if you cannot have someone calling you on your mess, you don't go.
Got you. And here's the crazy thing too, I believe he knew that he was building something in you also with the push-ups, right? Because a lot of the times, with our children, when we make them do push-ups or, we make them do sit-ups or whatever for them being disrespectful, we're building a perseverance in them that they won't see in the here and the now, but in the future, it will help. So here's one of the last questions. Is retirement after 20 years still worth it?
I don't know. I only did 2.
Okay.
I can't say yes or no.
Well, I will tell you this. One of my sergeants, when he retired at 38.
What? Wow.
Because he went in at 17.
Wow.
My friends are 38, they were 38, 39 when they retired. Yep.
So I'd say yes. And interestingly enough, he said that at his retirement ceremony, this was the longest 4 years he ever had, because when he went in, he only planned to be in 4 years.
Wow. So then what? Okay. So then, all right. So then you retire 20 years. You did I mean, you can go further, but that's the max. You did your 20, you're done. So what does that mean? You move to now a government job or something like that, and they pay you.
If you want to.
You can go to a government job and only have to do 10 years and retire again.
This is true. Wow.
I got a friend who did that. Did her 20, never deployed, did her 20 in the Navy. She's from East St. Louis, so she was running from something to the Navy. If you know anything about not St. Louis, but East St. Louis. Yeah, it was survival. She went in, did 20. She was doing IT. So obviously she can go and make some money. Got all her certs and stuff paid for by the Navy. Got 100% disability. Used some GI Bill money. There's other GI Bill money, stuff we didn't mention, the other extra stuff that we keep finding out more. But she retired again from the government. So she's got multiple checks coming in. And she's just doing more IT because she feels like it.
Of course.
And I retired from the federal government, and I do consulting as a government contractor.
Nice. Okay. Are there systems set up for parents who typically cope with their children being in the military that have that fear? Do they have systems set up for them to kind of cope with it so that, your kid needs to be in the service and focus, and, you don't want to put that fear on them when you do talk to them? So do they offer services like that from what you can remember?
Can I be real? And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take a shot. A lot of parents that kids aren't in the military they need the services more than the ones with the kids in the military.
That's a good point.
College students do stupid stuff, non-college, and then mama's boys and people just do nothing. I think those need more coping.
Right.
But it's and I'll say this way. More people, when you talk about people going, deploying and dying in war and whatever, more people have died in probably the city of Chicago or Houston in
Damn.
1 year from death or homicide than have died probably in the military wars in the world, in the country, in 10 years. There's probably a 50-1 as far as the number of kids dying in the streets than it is ones dying in the military. But
And
people
you know
just
what?
don't know.
And to that point, how many times have we heard that you have some young people who went over to deploy, survived that, to come home,
Their friends got lit up in the street.
and yes,
Or they
and,
themselves.
or they got lit up in the street. They survived being deployed,
Right.
but
In
returned
war.
home and
Yeah.
got off in their own neighborhood. The American Sniper movie, that was
Right.
a perfect example. He was a sniper, came home and got off. So, you know, but in answer to your question, I don't know. I don't know if there are those kind of services like support groups for parents. I don't know.
I think them going to the military is the support.
Well, again, I agree. I think that people tend to think mentally that, when you don't have a realist as a parent, and you have someone that teaches their children what they think the world is opposed to what the world is, in real life, they create this narrative that, my child's going to go to school, they're going to come home. And in your mind, you create this story that if they're deployed at war, chances are I'm going to get that phone call, opposed to you being at home, not knowing that there's a war outside of people that are raising their children not in the correct way, which is easier because, there's rules and regulations in the military than there are in the streets. There is no code. The code is gone with this new generation that's here. Code is gone. There is no code. At least when we were growing up, there were certain things that we didn't do on Sundays. There were certain things that when Miss Betsy was coming down the block, we changed our vernacular. There were codes that we had. Those things are done. These cats don't care no more. So, I don't know.
I have to say, oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother. No, go ahead.
No, when it comes to that, I'm gonna have to say it as direct as possible.
Okay.
I'm not going to say anything soft or kind of sort of when it comes to 16, 17, 18, making the decision to go out there and be in the military. It's an adult decision. The parents, it's an adult decision. It is what it is. And you may regret not making it.
Here's a question. I should have asked it earlier, but can they change jobs, meaning MOS, later if they don't like what they're initially signed up for? I think maybe you guys may have addressed it. I can
address it in more detail.
Okay.
Let's say you sign a 3-year enlistment and you get some job. Very not often can somebody pick a job. They just don't like it and then go do what they want. Sometimes, like once I remember I was field artillery and then our trucks were breaking down. And it was a guy who was good at working on trucks. So he started working. They needed him. They kept asking him. Eventually, they found a way to transition him into working on trucks. But there was a critical need from the military. We were short. Sometimes that can happen, but don't count on it. Okay. Another one is if there's a job critical need, like they need airborne, whatever. It's usually going to be a dirty job. They're short on cooks. They're short on MPs. It's usually a job that nobody wants. They'll let you leave the job that you are on and go do that job. And this is only Army, and this is some that I've seen, but it's very rare. But the other thing is, if you sign up for 4 years, if you're 3 years into the 4 and you say, all right, I want to re-enlist and do another 3 or 4. Sometimes I believe you can re-enlist early and leave and go do that job early. Like we'll start your 4-year contract as of today. You only got 12 months left in your initial. We'll let you start and go on to the new job today if you'll do these extra time. So you can switch, but it's not going to be free most of the time.
And
or
it's not automatic.
Going to be a worse job.
Not automatic.
Say that again, TJ?
I said it's definitely not automatic just because you don't like what you're doing.
What do you mean?
No.
What do you mean by that? It's not automatic. What do you mean?
you can't up and say, I don't like this, I want to do something else. It's not that simple. No.
Wow. Also, okay.
You signed your name on the dotted line that you was going to do this job for X amount of time, and that's what you expected to do, unless, like, Scam is saying, you're up for re-enlistment. You might have a little bit more negotiation, say, well, I will re-enlist if I can do this. But also, it depends on, like you said, if there's a need. If certain MOSs or certain jobs you're trying to go to that is they have too many of them, they ain't taking you.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so once I sign and go into basic training, I'm locked in, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say I fail basic training. Do they put me back through the grind until I get it right, or do they boot me out?
It depends.
I don't know. I don't know what they do nowadays.
It depends.
We had the whole. Oh, go ahead, TJ. Go ahead.
In the past, they would recycle you, and sometimes they would recycle people several times. I don't know if they still do it, but I think at a certain point, if you're not, maybe if you recycle twice or anything like that, most times that people are recycled more than once, they're not trying to be in anyway. They don't want to be in. They don't want to get better, and then they will chapter them out or administratively separate them.
And you get no benefits at all.
I think you have to be on active duty like 180 days to get some type of benefit.
Or medical, or certain people with certain medical discharges. But
yeah,
I'm gonna just be honest. If you can't make it through basic, you're literally not a soldier or not a sailor, and it just is what it is.
So basically, basic training for those that it's probation. Kind of so.
64 people in my unit, 2 didn't make it. Okay. And those 2 were, one was extremely overweight. One of them was extremely lazy and pretty much chose not to make it.
Okay. Have you both seen Full Metal Jacket?
Oh, yes. I love that movie.
How close? I mean, I know you guys weren't Marines, but from what you heard, how close was the basic training to real life? Because I know that was a real drill sergeant that they had. He's since passed, but I know he was a real drill sergeant. But sometimes they sensationalize things. From what you remember in your basic training, was it something like that?
TJ, you can go first.
I'll say yes, because see, I went in the 80s. They could still cuss at you. They yell at you. They didn't put any hands on us, but when I went through, we were the first female battalion that our drill sergeants had. So they, again, they weren't with kid gloves, but they probably didn't drill us as hard as they did their male enlisted or male soldiers. But yeah, back then they could drop you, they could cuss at you, they could all kinds of stuff. I later heard, like in the 90s or mid to late 90s, they'd have these things you could throw up a stress card or some bullshit. Like, I mean, I'm like, what? But here's the thing about Full Metal Jacket, though. When you consider that the timing of when it was supposedly being filmed during the Vietnam era.
Yes, right.
Oh, that's an absolute yes. They could hit you. They could do all those kinds of things.
Wow. Okay.
When I came through in the 80s, no.
Okay.
But they could definitely cuss at you. Now I understand when I see some of the videos of what basic training, I'm like, dang, it's watered down.
You sitting there saying, "Man, I wish I would have went in now, man."
No, I'm glad I went in when I.
I'm glad I went in '98.
I'm glad I went in when I did, because these people were soft,
Right,
and it's so funny. Like I said, that drill sergeant that was dropping me, I don't remember his name, but I remember what he called me. Every time he saw me, he called me Big Eyes, because when he had me do something, I looked at him like, and from that point on, he drop Big Eyes. I never forget. But see, they
Sorry, I'm laughing.
if they have a name for you, probably, you know, they probably say, oh, he's calling me name. They weak. Anyway.
But let me ask you this. I mean, now that you look back at it, right? Do you think that, because sometimes, you know, I've seen movies where the drill sergeant would be hard on the ones that they liked. They didn't show preferential treatment, but they would be that a-hole to that one that they knew had it in them, but was not doing their best. So they had to, you know, put the foot to the metal for them to be their better selves. Do you think that that's probably what it is when these drill sergeants pick on one? Well, I mean, TJ, when you look at it back now, do you think he had a problem with you, or do you think he saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself?
Oh, I think it was both. I think he was trying to punish me, but I think he saw something in me because, again, when I graduated, you know, he congratulated me, you know, and I think that's when he called me by my last name. Congratulations, Jones. But the whole time I was, you know, Big Eyes. But I think it's both, because you do have some that are on power trips. I'm just gonna keep it, but they are. Right. But I have to say that I think many of them are kind of like what you said. But going back to that Full Metal Jacket, and back when we were in, we could give people blanket parties.
Wow.
I was gonna speak to that. Full Metal Jacket. The drill sergeants weren't sucker punching, and it wasn't all that. People were fighting in the Army, and most of the time we break it up because it's not good. It's just not good for business. Everybody gets in trouble, or it goes extra. But there were some fights that didn't get broken up. There was a dude who didn't want to take a shower. I don't know what happened, but somehow he was motivated to go take a shower that night. I don't know what must have happened.
Yeah, y'all spoke to him. Y'all had a conversation.
I didn't see anything.
Right.
Somehow he mysteriously was motivated to take a shower. There's a dude
wall-to-wall counseling.
Yeah, a dude who used to sleepwalk. Yeah, it was a guy who used to sleepwalk, and he used to just do stupid stuff to get people in trouble. Sometimes people wanted to get at him, and then people would back him up, like, hey, man, y'all bullying him. But then sometimes, you know what he did was really bad. So I seen somebody flip his whole bunk over with him in it. You know, he ain't gonna defend himself, so they just throw stuff on top, you know. Stuff would happen. But a lot of it was the people and the people. But one story. There was a guy who was racist. We had we showed up one day, 40 of us, and then other people came from the platoon the next day. Just in processing thing. We processed this time, they processed later. The second day, all of us are there. And there's one dude who was in process with the second group who was talking about this racist dude. Had said all this stuff when they were processing. Every time he walked to go eat, he'd see him. He was in another basic training unit and say something. Kind of like, yeah, we're going to get you. And I guess he's carried that same racist junk with his basic training unit. But I see him maybe week 3, week 4. And he's on crutches. His eye was all swole, teeth, he was all tore down. Word was they took care of him.
Wow.
A friend that he knew him. He said, yeah, my homeboys told me they took care of that. Drill sergeants ain't do nothing about it. So there's ways that they can get their message across. And I didn't see nothing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And see, another thing too, I don't know if it was like that.
This is 98.
But if you were, say for instance, you know, you in the platoon and y'all running, but the person who was the weakest link, they could make it hard for the whole company, the whole platoon. So if you got somebody who's not doing their portion, you know, kind of like in Full
Metal Jacket when he said,
yes, they do that.
He kept eating.
You know, and so everybody else was doing push-ups for the person that was messing up. So what's that gonna do? That's gonna piss y'all off, and y'all gonna have some conversations to motivate that person, because you're having to pay for their laziness or their, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I will say this though. 85, 98, a lot of that stuff would fly. But with lawsuits, camera, I don't know what's going on. a lot of that stuff won't fly now. But what they'll do is just kick them. Marines won't play. They'll just put you out. You ain't gonna do it. Air Force nowadays.
So you don't think they're still having conversations? Maybe not as much, but you don't think that they're still having conversations with them like that?
No. Just like there's certain stuff you could get away with back in other times. Now you can't get away with so much. But the toll that it'll take, if you don't want to be a Marine, especially Marines and Air Force, if you want to be here and you can't cut it, just go home. We don't need you.
Well, and to that point, what he's saying, you know, I often talk about, you know, with my daughter and stuff, you know, when I talk about young people, I said, you know, we did stupid stuff, you know, I said, but there's no proof. Prove it. Same thing with basic training. Prove that we did that. Well, now everybody got phones.
Right, so they can prove it.
Yeah, and there's been more lawsuits, more talk, more. So as time, you know, now you walking around with a swole eye and you take a picture and send it somewhere, somebody's going to do something. Where in 98, 99, he tripped and fell. We don't know what you're talking about.
Got you.
You know.
Can I tell my daughter, I said, if you knew half the stuff, I said, there's no proof. I said, but y'all stupid. Y'all film everything.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I didn't see it. I think these people tripped and fell, me personally.
So you're going to believe me or your lying eyes.
Motivated and wanted to actually do right and stop playing around. That's what I think happened. What about you,
Works for me.
That works for you?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
And I'm talking about not messing up or making mistakes. I'm talking about absolute stupid stuff. Like not taking a shower or intentionally getting the whole everybody in trouble.
Or eating when you know you're not making weight.
Don't do it, and they do it anyway.
Because ideally, basic training, you working out, you're supposed to be losing weight.
Right. That's crazy.
Because I don't know if it's the same, but we couldn't walk nowhere. Everywhere you going, you running.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
you running.
Yeah. I always make this joke that if the apocalypse happened with the zombies, I'm in trouble if we get them World War Z zombies, because them dudes can run for days, brother. Them dudes can run. I got to deal with the Walking Dead. Them dudes, they walk with a limp. I'm good with them. But them ones that can run, we going to have a problem. I'm going to have to kick somebody. I'm going to have a friend walk with me so I can just trip them or something like that.
Yeah, so me too, because I done had, going back to the disability, I done had one knee replacement. And the other knee ain't that great.
Them dudes will chase you for days, my G. If your cardio ain't right, they going to catch you on the first block. I'm telling you. So
yeah, I got to share this one. I wish Eda Man was here because he was field artillery. We in basic training, and it was these two decent in shape dudes. They used to play. They'd be playing around all the time. Drill sergeant told him stop playing. He walks away, and they're still over there playing around. It's like, oh, y'all got a lot of energy. Cool. Because we were field artillery, we just have big old rounds for decorations. So the ones holding the office weighed 98 pounds. Private Johnson, Private Purdy, go get those rounds and come bring them to me. They're just holding them rounds up. Hey, take those rounds over to Drill Sergeant Jones and ask him if he needs some rounds. All the way over there. Drill Sergeant Jones. No, go ask Drill Sergeant Smith if he needs some rounds. Drill Sergeant. Oh, go ask Drill Sergeant Davis. They just running around from Drill Sergeant to Drill Sergeant. 98. Don't drop my round. Don't drop them. They got the point.
wow.
But yeah, that's how it used to be.
That's crazy.
Okay, so
yeah,
I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I'm gonna try it.
Okay.
Since we're about to wrap it up.
Hold on, let me blow you up.
Uh-oh.
And
look at her doing the push-ups.
I don't think I have to find mine.
And this was my drill sergeant. This was a drill sergeant.
One that
Estes.
called you Big Eyes?
No, this was actually my drill sergeant Estes.
Is he still with us?
I don't think so. I
couldn't find none of my drill sergeants on Facebook.
Wow, that's crazy. That was crazy. Damn, you took us back. That's crazy.
To the 80s.
To the 80s, baby. To the 80s. Hold on.
Oh, look at you.
My G.
I was an E3, so I had to be like 19.
Look at you. I'll say.
Well, I'm not showing y'all no damn pictures. How about that? My man showed us.
It was good times though. It was really good times.
Yeah, when you look at it, I'm sure it was good times, man.
I did not like the Army. I'll be honest. I didn't enjoy it, but it was necessary, and I do appreciate and respect it. It was necessary, and the benefits are for life.
Right. That's the good thing. That's the
yeah. I give the pros and the cons, at least from my experience.
Right. Let me tell you something, Scam.
Don't ever. Army, that's my favorite. That's one of my favorites.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. That was you right there as a youngin'.
Yeah, that's just my favorite. One of my favorite.
Yeah, that don't look like that. You look totally different than the other picture.
I got uglier.
No. No, brother. You are a handsome dude, my G.
And last one.
Oh my God. Look at.
Uh-oh.
I don't know why he called you Big Eyes. I don't know why. Yeah. Well, listen, man. Tonight, I tell you, it has been such a blessing. I'm gonna let you guys close it out with your final words. It was such a blessing, TJ. Thank you for, blessing us with your presence, man. Again, like I said, I missed your conversations. Thank you so much for doing this. And Scam, we seen a side of you, brother, that hardly anyone gets to see. So I'm proud that we seen it in the village. You even debuted a new voice. It was no women. You debuted a new voice. Listen, there is thank you, brother. I appreciate it. But the floor is yours, guys. You close out how you choose.
I'll go first. TJ Randolph last. She's a higher rank and she get to close us out. Good to see TJ Randolph.
She is higher ranking than you, isn't she?
Absolutely. I got to stop and salute.
Okay.
Yeah. No, overall military, weigh your options, or if it's your kids or whatever, just take a look at it, see what it possibly could be. It's an adult decision. This is like the parents, don't be selfish and say, no, my baby ain't going nowhere, and already rule it out, and it could have been their blessing. Information is now public where it wasn't in 98. There was not just looking on the internet and seeing everything, it wasn't like that. There are people to talk to. If this is a route to go, have a plan, or as best of a plan that you can. There are pros and cons. Every experience is going to be different. And we don't know what the world is going to be in 12 months, 24 months. We don't know. But it's a decision. It turned out for the best for most of the people I know that went in the military. So I have good things to say about it. Good to see you, TJ Randolph. Ain't seen you in a while. Welcome back.
You too.
That's all I got. TJ, close us out.
She hit the wrong button again, man. It was the second time she did that, so we're gonna have to hang out until she comes back.
Oh, she didn't hit the red
unless she just hit the button to dip set. I don't think so.
Close.
She was supposed to close us out. So
Officer Randolph.
Hopefully she comes back. She'll come back. She'll hit the link again. But damn, brother, this was just look at you being serious.
And I appreciate y'all that got questions. Better to ask questions than have free judgments.
Absolutely.
Either man is around, he's a promoter. But if y'all see us around who are military, and there's somebody you know, cousin, niece, brother, whatever, feel free to ask a question. We'll give you the answer, at least the best of our ability. If it's something I can't answer or I don't know, I'll just tell you I don't know. I got out 25 years ago. Things are constantly changing.
Yeah. I just text her. Hopefully she jumps back up. We'll give her a few minutes. How'd you like that? I seen you bopping your head when you was listening to the song.
Yeah, I'm not even into East Coast rap, but it was all right.
Oh, here we go, man.
Yeah, I'm not into too much to East
It wasn't come on, brother. I'm just saying. You know, listen, when you hear good music, you hear good music where it doesn't matter what coast it's from.
There's a few good, and I'm from Virginia, but there's a few good from New York, maybe 10 artists. The rest of them just talk too much.
I agree. I mean, it's too saturated. You know, it's very saturated where we're at. And, you know, you got to be different and you got to sound different and you got to say some different things opposed to saying the same thing that everybody else is saying. What's going to make you stand out? And I think in the music industry, period, when they see one person, you know, break out, they're going to carbon copy 6 of them, you know, and that's just how the music industry is. I don't know if, hold on, let me see if I could call her. Hold on.
Yeah. West Coast was whooping their butt in the 90s. East Coast, West Coast was whooping on them in the 90s. And they were just hating. Then the South came and cleaned them up some more. But shout out to the East Coast, because that's where, you know, a lot of music and rap and stuff originated. And there used to be a lot more positivity in hip hop.
Oh yeah, there was. Yeah, that's when hip hop. You know, remember hip hop started as a movement to speak about what was going on in the different neighborhoods, right? And it became commercial because remember they never thought hip hop would make it that far. You know, they never thought that. TJ, can you hear us?
TJ, you got it. We can't see you, but we can.
Hold on. I don't know if there's something wrong with her internet service. Let me just. Hopefully she can try again. Yeah. Yeah, you know, once it became commercialized and in the city, hold on.
Yeah, and people, some of those links, if you want to look up some things, look up some of the job descriptions.
Yeah, she's having some technical difficulties, so she just told me to wish you guys a lovely night. Thank you for coming. Scam, TJ, nothing but love, man. I appreciate both of you taking the time out of your busy schedule to bless the people with information, questions, the do's, the don'ts, the will, the won'ts, the pros, the cons, you know, from your perspective, again, you know, speak to your recruiters and all that different stuff and all that different jazz. And remember, you know, the more information you know, the better position you'll be in to make the best decision you can for the situation that you are in currently. So any last words before we get out of here, my G?
I think I'm good. I think I gave my last words.
All right. So
for everybody, just, you know, be informed. If you want to come join us as military and vets, make that decision, make that jump, work out for the best.
All right. Lord willing, guys, we'll see you in the AM at the morning reads. Peace.
Yeah. No. Flatbush taught me how to pray with my head on a swivel. Sirens harmonize with faith, angels ducking the devil. Brownstones hold my testimony. Cracks full of grace. I seen God draw straight lines in the messiest place. I was raised with a pain, speak fluent, hunger got tenure. With a mall ain't promise, just a rent and a temper. I had dreams on layaway, hope wrapped in duct tape. God told me walk it out, don't rush it. Trust pace, I rap deliberate. Wisdom stitched inside my diction. Rock him in the posture, thought in the mental condition. And big spirit, Brooklyn lungs, truth heavy when it land. I don't flex, bricks, I build temples every time I command. Switch, I've been broke with a purpose, rich in unanswered prayers. God met me on Church Ave when belief needed repairs. Turn scars into scripture, precious season my voice. Now I speak like it matter, every bar got a choice. Another gear.